Well, hello, my crafting lovelies, and welcome. I am so very thankful that you are able to join me today. I have a lovely new set of inks by Catherine Pooler, just released. The purple is the Verbena and the yellow is GoldenRod. Along with these two beautiful ink colors, she has also released this sequin mix called Wimbledon. And there's the theme here. Can you guys guess the theme? It's racket sports. So all these products coordinate with other newly released products, and one of them is called the Make a Racket bundle. And so I have some products from that. This is the courtside cover plate, and then we have the Make a Racket stamp set and dies that coordinate. And so I'm going to be making a fun shaker card today with these products. Look at the pickleball. Like, how popular is pickleball right now? And badminton and tennis. So many wonderful things that you could do with the stamp set. This could double almost as a bat, I feel like, and a baseball. I haven't done that or tried that, but that's something I might want to do in the future. There are just so many wonderful things that you could make with this wonderful suite of products. Let's get started making our card. This set of stamps has 3 different layers to it. So I'm setting up the Sizzix stencil and stamp tool. I'm setting the stamp plate up with the outline first of these stamps. And then I will go back in with the shadow, and then I'll go back in with the bottom colors. So, because the shadow pieces come in the top color of the racket and the bottom color of the racket, so you can have 2 different colors. So I'm setting up my stamp plate so that I can stamp all on one plate, but multi-stamp again. You could do multiple cards again and again the way that I'm setting this up. So I'm going to take the time to show you. Here I'm using Catherine Pooler cardstock because Catherine Pooler inks work best with Catherine Pooler cardstock. This stamping tool is not my usual stamping tool. It is new to me. So it comes with a sticky grid mat, and I've just laid the paper down onto that. So the paper is being held in place with the sticky grid mat. And then now I am inking up in Memento ink. It really does a beautiful job of grabbing the details of those rackets. And so I'm just pressing down that plate to make sure I get a good image, and it's perfect the first time. This stamp set is a wonderful stamp set. It is very drawn looking, so it's very forgiving. It has that sketchy kind of feel to it. Right now I am setting up the shadow pieces of these stamps, some of the shadow pieces, because like I said, the handles have a different shadow piece. So I'm setting these up so that I can do different colors on them if I want to. Those bottom 3 on the little birdie and the balls, I'm going to do a different color than what I do on the top. So here I'm lifting the plate. Now, if you see here, I've slowed this section way down so that you could see that the first generation that we did, the large racket outline, is on the top of this plate. Now I'm picking up those stamps that I just laid down, but I have flipped my plate over. So now I'm picking those up, and they are going to be on the underside of the plate. So I know that that could look confusing, but that's what's going on. This way I can set up my plates to do multiple cards. I can change my colors easily. Once I have the stamp set up and in place, it just becomes very, very easy to do multiple cards all at once. So here I am conditioning with my skin. I'm not sure how you guys condition, but I like to do it with my skin. And then I'm putting some of that gorgeous Verbena purple onto the paddles of the pickleball paddles and the tennis racket and the badminton paddle, making sure that I push that down really well. Okay, so you noticed on your inks, they say spa collection. So I chose a red also from the spa collection for that, and orange for the pickleball from the spa collection for here. The other colors that Catherine Pooler has is called Party Collection. So the Party Collection is very bright, very saturated colors, and the Spa Collection is not as bright, a little more muted. So that's the difference between the two. So when you're trying to coordinate ink colors, that's a good way to do it, is look for ones that are also from the Spa Collection if you're using spa colors. Now that I've pulled in those other colors for the birdie and the tennis ball and the pickleball, I'm just going to open them up one at a time and get started with putting those colors on those individual items. And I love that I can do that. I can put one color on one thing. Now, I didn't clean them off before I went and did the handles, but lucky me, where they stamped at the bottom, I moved the plate over. So you'll see, when I line these up, the outline piece for the top part gets in the way. So I move my plate over one notch. You'll see me do that. So here I'm just lining them up, but now I'm moving the plate over one notch, and here now I can line them all up. So now that's 3 different steps all on this one plate, and it's easy peasy. Oops, that one came off. I just had to readjust it. Again, conditioning with my skin a little bit, and then inking those up in the gorgeous goldenrod yellow color. But here you'll see I didn't clean off the stamps on the balls or the birdie, and so there's a shadow stamp down there, but it does not matter. It did not interfere. So I'm taking a Tombow pen and picking up some of that ink and just filling in the little details so that it looks more detailed. I love that. And just putting it onto some scratch paper when I'm done. Now going in with the goldenrod and doing the exact same thing with the goldenrod. These Tombow pens are a great way to add more detail. If you wanted to do a stripe, you wouldn't necessarily have to do let's say you wanted the handle in a stripe. You wouldn't necessarily have to do the colored part. You could just use these pens to color in the handle in stripes. Very convenient. And so very easy to clean off with just some scratch paper. It's time to remove the paper from the stamp tool, and I have never done this before. This is my first time using the stamp tool. And the paper is trying to lift up that sticky mat, but it just stuck back down very nicely, so there was no issue there. Now it's time to die cut. And I'm using the coordinating dies for the Make a Racket stamp set and some best ever yellow craft tape. I will be making 2 cards, so that's why I have so much stuff here, because it's going to be spread out over 2 cards. So I have a little punch that punched out all these circles. No, I did not die cut each and every single one. And then I put the detailed piece and the background piece in 2 different colors, of course. And sometimes the front didn't look very good of those pieces, so I'd flip it over and do one on the back. Here I am using the Best Ever Craft tape to tape down this frame, is what it's going to be in the end. You can use whatever rectangle dies you might have, but this set here is from the Dots and Scallops dies by Catherine Pooler Designs. So I'm going to put down the Best Ever Craft tape to hold those together, and then I take my de-static tool and, well, I flip it over first, and then I take my de-static tool on that tape, because sometimes that tape can rip the paper. But if you're just using it to hold this down, the frames down, they don't need to be held down onto the paper, then you can use your de-static tool so that that doesn't happen. And so I'm just removing that frame. Then I'm going to pull in a card base and just make sure that there's enough white space around the card base, or see if I need to trim the card base any, and I think it's actually perfect. So I'm going to put the frame back into my stamping tool, and this really is a nice setup with this sticky paper on the bottom. I've never used such a setup before. And I'm using the Sentiment Make a Racket, and I'm going to ink that up in the Memento black ink again. Again, that's a very detailed ink. I love it for fine things like the rackets, which were just beautiful. And this frame just comes out of here very nicely. That paper on the bottom is sticky, but not too sticky. It's like the perfect amount of stickiness. It doesn't wreck your paper. So then I've grabbed a piece of acetate and my ATG glue gun, and I'm going to glue that piece of acetate onto the back of that frame. So now it says Make a Racket on the front, and then I'm taking some foam adhesive strips, and I am using those for the shaker portion of this card to keep the bling inside. And there I'm putting in my little pickleballs. Now you'll see that some of them I have stamped twice because I didn't like where it got stamped the first time, so I flipped it over and did the other side. So this is the back side of them that nobody will see. And then I'm taking some of that gorgeous Wimbledon Sequin mix and adding those in there. I like to put a backing onto my shakers before I actually set it onto my card. So I am taking a pen and I'm just marking on this piece of cardstock where I need to cut it. So I'm doing a line vertically and a line horizontally, just little markers so that I know. And then I take that off camera and cut. Now I do this because once you set this onto a card, it's permanent. But if I mess this part up, there's a chance that I could do it again because it's a little bit smaller than the actual front of the card. So now I have a fake back, which is perfect. That shakes all on its own, but I am going to adhere this to a card base. So here I'm just taking my glue gun by My Sweet Petunia, my glue press, and with some liquid glue so that I have room to move it around and get that border absolutely perfect around the outside of it. We are almost done. Now I have the pickleball paddles to glue on and the little pickleball. So I'm again taking my glue press by My Sweet Petunia and some liquid glue and just setting that right in the corner right there. I made room for it. And now we have this sweet shaker card. Guys, look at how cute this turned out. So I love that the sentiment is make a racket, and then you can shake it and make a racket. It's so awesome. This is so cute. Thank you so much for being here today. I greatly appreciate your support. Please do hit the like and subscribe buttons below. I am the Rocky Mountain Crafter. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on my blog at therockymountaincrafter.com. Bye-bye.